Everyone, I'm Lee Strahan. Hope you're having a good weekend. I did a great Patreon show today. And that Patreon show that's with Jason Goodman called High Dive, we had a guest who's on the ground in Ukraine, in Mariupol. And he's been to other places in Ukraine. I never talked to him before, but because I've been covering Ukraine for 5 years, it was a great episode. And check that out. We're going to post it soon. And check that out. Now, one of the things I talked about a little bit is Nina Jankowicz and how she fits in to the Ukraine story. And Nina Jankowicz fits into Bill Browder. It fits into a number of stories I've been talking about for years. Irina Chalupa, who ties into Andrei Chalupa and Alexandra Chalupa. Russiagate, the Hunter Biden laptop you know about, and the Integrity Initiative, stuff I've covered on my radio show, The Backstory. Now, because of the health problems I've had recently, and because I'm not getting any younger, I have a profound sense of duty to the world, to you, to my children, to people I love, to get the truth out. And I believe citizen journalism can help save the world. My friend Andrew Breitbart believed in citizen journalism, and I believe he was prescient. And it's more important than ever now, in an age of obvious fascism. The Democrats are not only supporting Nazis, but they're using techniques of propaganda that were developed by the Nazis. Now, my theory of everything is that there's a lot of stories I talk about, and some people lose a thread. They go, well, what's Lee doing talking about Pigford and Skull and Bones and secret societies and Bohemian Grove and how Russiagate is a fraud and Russia and England and the dangers of the Rothschilds and Zionism. And they hear that and they go, he's all over the place. Please, I'm asking you to not take my word, but at least not shut your brain down. Our world is run by power brokers like Skull and Bones, the Yale Secret Society, that use the Hegelian method. And by the way, if you've ever had a stroke, as I had a few weeks ago, Hegelian method is tough to say. So I think I get points for at least saying Hegelian method. But Hegel's method of thesis, antithesis, or antithesis, and synthesis is the philosophy behind Marxism, as well as Skull and Bones. I have an article going up later today with Anthony Sutton explaining some of this stuff. But I have a video posted now on Twitter. And you can find it easily. Look for Anthony Sutton, The Order. When you see how Skull and Bones fits in, and Skull and Bones is behind Kerry, Secretary of State when the Euromaidan happens, Bush, George Bush Sr., who's CIA, Prescott Bush, H.W.'s father, is a secret society started by Yale, at Yale, in 1832. And Skull and Bones, once you understand how they operate, and they use the Hegelian method. And the reason I want you, please, to pay attention to some of the stuff I have to say, is that the way it works is they put out people who pretend to take two different sides, but really represent exactly the same side. Different puppets, same puppet master. Bush versus Kerry in 2008, 2004, was an extreme example of this. Both Skull and Bones members. And look what happened to Tim Russert after he brought that up to him. Just saying. You figure it out. When you understand the way Skull and Bones operates, it's the way the power structure, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the people behind the WWF, the people behind Bohemian Grove, the people behind these hidden machines of power. You have to understand, because they're trying to trick you. They're trying to fool you. Now, I am optimistic about the future because I've been talking about Ukraine for 5 years. And typically what people did was yawn. They didn't not believe me. They just didn't care. Now people are forced to look at Ukraine. And there's a lot of people out there who are currently tricked. Forgive them. They know not what they do. Some of them are dishonest, but some of them are deeply brainwashed. But less people are brainwashed than ever. You're probably a person who's looked into, you start to see, gee, this Zelensky guy, Klaus Schwab from the WWF, loves him. He's funded by George Soros, connected to Nina Jankovic. And you start to go, wait, that's weird. And then when you looked into him, you start to get your suspicions fulfilled. You said, I don't trust this at all. And you're starting to believe it. And I ask people even about Putin, who's been heavily propagandized against by people like Christopher Steele, by Russiagate. Russiagate, I've been saying it for years, was not about Trump. It was about Putin. And now you can maybe see that. The key people behind Russiagate were the Clintons and Strobe Talbot, who's a Russian studies major and a Yaley, no coincidence, and a pro-globalist anti-nationalist. I'm not talking about ethnic nationalists like Ukrainians. I'm talking about, for instance, what's happening at our southern border. When I see it as part of a universe of things. It's no surprise that what's happening at our border is happening once you understand how the globalists work. So what I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks is I'm going to be presenting modules. Two things. I'm going to get citizen journalism school going again because we need people who can present their ideas. But we need people who know stuff too. And I'm presenting modules on Soros. If you think you know Soros, you don't understand him. I guarantee you. Because a lot of people in America, you know a lot about Soros. I'm sure your skeptics don't like him. But Republicans think he is on the left. That's the Hegelian method. Did it again. Hegelian method again. He is not on the left. And by the way, communism and capitalism are both concepts, mind viruses, if you will, designed to trick you. Pick a side, and both sides benefit the globalists and the bankers and the people who really run the world. And so I'm going to be presenting new modules on this as classes, and I hope you take them. So I want to give you a quick video now and tell you, please support the Patreon and watch today's episode when we post it later. Hope you have a great weekend. I, unlike a lot of journalists, answer questions. A warning, I block people too, but I don't block people for asking me questions. I block people for being a dick. My life is too short to deal with people who jump in and go, you're a traitor, Putin's a thug. If you start with that, why wouldn't I block you? I'm not an idiot. If you want to ask a girl out on a date, you don't start by calling her a filthy whore who's nasty, right? That's not a good come-on line. Talk to me like a civil human being and ask your question. I always answer them. Ask anybody. I don't block people for merely asking questions, like Mike Cernovich. And you'll see we'll have new material today. I've also committed myself to writing more. And my girlfriend, Danny, who's helping take good care of me, and it's so important to me, Danny and I are going to be posting a new article today that reveals some of the stuff about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and how industrialists were behind communism. This is deep stuff, and it's a wilderness of mirrors. But please stay tuned because we have lots of exciting stuff coming. And everyone, thanks for bearing with me and the good thoughts on my recent stroke and the COVID diagnosis I had. I'm not going anywhere. We need to fight this tyranny. We need to fight for what America was founded on. I love what this country was founded on, and I think you do too. Russia is not my enemy, and they're not yours. And it will all make sense to you. If it does, some parts of it don't make sense. If you don't understand the connection between Russia and America, if you don't understand how the British were our enemy, not the people. I love lots of British people, but the crown, royalty, preserving that, it's part of the grand theory of everything that I have. And I explain it all to you in classes coming up very shortly. And we do it on a Patreon every week. So sign up for that. Till next time, bye-bye.